Thank you.
Okay, good.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Okay. Um, and since I talked to Susan, you had sent me something that it is going to be incorporated as keep only. No, I forgot what it was going to be.
Okay, do you
But
want me to
the
explain?
name of the company is not going to include Tikva in it.
No, it's not. The only thing that possibly would have included Tikva in it is if we advertise our service, advertise the groups that we incorporate into Keep All In. So we have a lone soldier group where we support lone soldiers. That has its own title, which has not got Tikva in it. But the mental health program is called Tikva by Keep All In. That's its title. But it's under the guise of Keep All In, who will be the Amuta, the charity, whose name the 5013CA will be in.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was Friends of Keep Olim was going to be the name.
It might be Friends of Keep All In. I don't think we've finalised the title yet.
Okay.
Do you know which it will be?
Do you know which state it will be incorporated in?
I've no idea at the moment.
Okay. So in terms of, I didn't, the only search I did for Keep Olim was a very quick one using a U.S. Patent and Trademark Office search engine, which is very limited. It's just direct hits. It's not going to find things that might be confusable, but are not close enough for the simple program to find. And I have not looked at Keep Olim or anything else at all to know if there's any problem with those names.
I wouldn't.
But in terms of the use of Tikva, then we don't have to race it to the name of the company is not going to matter because it's not going to be in that name, so we don't have to worry about figuring that out before it's incorporated. But if it's, I saw the logo that comes up for you. It's Tikva in big bold letters and very tiny underneath. It's by Keep Olim.
We can change that. We can alter the logo to advertise in a different way. I mean, the charity is Keep All In, and it's Tikva by Keep All In because that it flows easier. But we can amend the logo. The logo is the least of our problems.
Okay. Yeah. Now we have, just to let Cathy know as well, there's this Tikva there's a registration. It's Tikva Corp in New Jersey that has a registration, and it looks like they do some charitable work regarding Jewish children in Ukraine. And we haven't heard from them. They probably don't know about this Tikva or anything. But even if the Keep Olim were larger, I don't think that would avoid any problems with them because the argument would be that it's making it even clearer. It'll sound like theirs is related to Keep Olim. Like if it said
like reverse confusion.
Yeah, I mean, all sorts of things. I mean, if you wanted to use, if Reebok wanted to use Adidas, Adidas wouldn't be happy if they said, "Well, this is the Adidas by Reebok." So it's going to destroy their trademark because it'll look like it's related to different companies. Okay, so anyway,
it seems like the services are really close enough to quite overlapping, even though one is Ukraine, one is Israel.
And we deal with them specifically with Olim Chadashim, that's people who come to live in Israel, and we deal with mental health specifically in the Tikva program. And our support line is, also part of that, which is called Tikva line, which is also part of it's all incorporated under Keep Olim's name. And I would imagine it's very, very different to what Tikva, who are helping children in the Ukraine, is completely a different ethos. We don't even work with children, actually. We don't work with children at all in our organization.
Okay. What I should know this, but I'm just to get everything out on the table. What is the definition of tikva? Like, what is the translation in English?
Hope.
And what is the
Hope.
definition?
Hope.
Hope.
What is that?
Hope.
Hope.
Yes, that's exactly
Oh,
what it means.
okay. Okay, that's it. Just hope.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
the Hebrew word for hope. Yeah.
Okay.
Like the national anthem, Hatikva.
Yes, got it. Okay. So because I was wondering, if that term is so common, that that it could be used in both potentially, because neither party could like appropriate it for its own use, because it's such a generic term potentially. I don't know if we could argue that if they were to object. So
Yeah.
but this other charity has is incorporated in New Jersey under the Tikva name, with other words, and also has a federal trademark registration.
Yeah, I don't know where it's incorporated, but they're headquartered in New Jersey and West something New Jersey, and they have a registration, just the word mark Tikva, and it looks like they made a mistake in their identification of services, because it's the identification of services is something like uh, well, let me pull it right up so I could read it off instead of trying to remember. The USPTO S trademark search. Here it is. Charitable fundraising services. So it sounds like they're doing, they're helping charities raise funds. And that's not what they're doing. Those are
I just had that with another client. I that exact thing. Said you're not helping other people raise money. You happen to raise money for your own, your own entity. But what you're really doing is helping, this certain community. So I wonder if that's a basis to we could, say we're going to try to cancel your registration.
Right.
It's not valid.
Right, because they're not performing those services for others. The problem is they're using the mark, and apparently they take in like 38 million a year. So it's not like they're without resources to be able.
We're not going to be expanding our services into America. I don't know if that makes any difference. We're just fundraising in America for Israel.
Right.
We're not going to have a division in America that I'm aware, we're not opening up a division. We are just simply using this as a fundraising platform for Israel.
Can I interject something? Can I interject something? I'm sorry, just because I overheard it. I'm so sorry, Susan, if it's okay. What about when we were talking about expanding, reaching out to families and parents of lone soldiers in America?
That is for them to be calling into Israel, though. So I don't know if that's.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay, I'll stick out. Okay,
so, what I had suggested yesterday as a possibility is that we contact this Tikva Corp in New Jersey to see if they have any objection to it, because point out the differences, the different markets, and so forth, and but that we have a common interest in helping the Jewish community. But, as I pointed out, the risk with that is they say no, and they're alerted to what's going on here and that we realize there could be a problem.
I think, yeah, it is a balancing of the risks, but that they may find out anyway.
Right.
First of all, second of all, are you planning to file a trademark registration application, or are they just wanting to be able to use it, not necessarily obtain a registration?
No, I
Certain.
I can't see that's something that we were ever thinking of. I think we were just wanting to use what we have in America too, because then people understand who we are and what we're about if they go to our website. But so no, I mean, I don't think we were ever planning on patenting or trademarking the name in America, unless you feel that's something we would need to do, but I don't see why we would.
Yeah, my inclination is we may as well check, because if there's going to be a problem, you want to find out now before you spend a lot of time and effort and money in pushing the name Tikva in the United States and then having them come around and tell you to change it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it does avoid a lot of trouble and expense. You think about all the things that you put your name on, that if you had to throw all of them away and start over, that would be expensive, and it would be confusing with your own, the people, that you serve, as to, why you changing the name. So it would be, it's always better to, if you can, it's better to clear these things up in advance, and get rid of any,
I mean,
possibilities of a problem.
If we use the name Hope instead of Tikva in America for fundraising, how would that work?
There's a doctrine that I don't like, but exists with foreign translations, that if it's not a very unusual foreign word, that you translate it and compare the translated form. So that could still be a problem.
It's very interesting.
Yeah.
They've managed to patent a Hebrew word that's used in everyday language. Because it's a word that you use in everyday conversation. So it's really interesting how they've managed to corner a word that is used by most people every day in their language, that now, do you understand what I'm saying? It's quite interesting.
Yeah, a lot of people think that first, and then you think through, the apple is a common word.
Oh yeah, somebody else tried to use Apple. I remember that. My son used to work for them.
See, the difference is, if Apple was trying to trademark the word apple for apples,
yes,
that's the problem. But because they're using it on computers, it's actually one of the strongest marks there is, because it's completely arbitrary. But the problem here is that they're probably, I'm gonna assume, with if the trademark registration, they're not trying to claim rights to the word Tikva for something to do with hope itself. I mean, I know that hope is suggested by the services, providing hope for these families and children and things like that, but they're not trying to, misappropriate ownership of the word. So so it is allowed, even if it is common.
Right.
Word in connection with the goods or services. So it's not they're not taking it out of the dictionary. It's just used in connection with that, so that, as I told you yesterday, is there going to be confusion among the prospective purchasers, a likelihood of confusion.
Okay.
So
I mean, is there another way around it? I mean, what are your suggestions? Because everybody else seems to think there's no issue with this, and I've look, you're the experts. I'm not an expert. I've never
Yeah.
even come across this before. So
A lot of patent and trademark law is very counterintuitive. So people are often surprised at the results. My suggestion, I think we ought to contact them and see if they have right up front if they have an objection, because if we don't do that, you're taking a risk, and it would be better just to use something else without that risk rather than investing a bunch of money and time and effort building up recognition in one name and then having to change that name.
Yeah, that's devastating actually if we'd have to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I mean, if you want to use that word and it's not buried into something else, some lengthy your phrase or whatever, there's no way to avoid the risk.
I mean, we've got to call
we
the program. We've got to give the program a title.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, the title in Israel is Tikva by Keep Olim. It's one of their affiliated programs. It's
right.
Keep Olim is the company. It's the charity, and that's what our registration in Israel is under Keep Olim. And when we register in America, it will also be under Keep Olim. And the program of Keep Olim is the mental health program. It's called Tikva. So we either have to change the name of it or see if they would allow us to use it, I think, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I think
Is that just in New Jersey, or is that in the whole of America we've got this problem?
No, the advantage of a federal trademark registration is that you get coverage across the entire country.
Oh, right.
You may not be able to take action against someone until they come to your area, but at least you've got, kind of a placeholder there to.
Right. So it doesn't matter which state we go into, they can still basically sue us.
Yeah. I mean, practically speaking, all they would probably demand, or what they would be satisfied with, is if you change the name, if they objected. Okay. I strongly doubt they'll try to go after any monetary damages.
Well, we haven't got any, so they can try the best.
Yeah. So, yeah,
if you're planning on changing, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead, Kathy.
Well, I was just gonna say, if you are, resigned to, realizing that you may have to change it, or you probably will have to change it. It wouldn't hurt then to ask to get their consent to use it, but you would have to probably have a license. But they may even say, sure, we'll give you a royalty-free license to use it for what you're doing, and just make sure you don't do what we do.
Well, we're not doing what I promise you, I'm not starting to raise money for children in the Ukraine.
Right.
I have no interest.
And it may help them.
Start that.
It builds up their trademark registration.
Sorry?
So it's sometimes there a license is it's a no-go. The owner doesn't want anyone doing anything like they do. They want to keep as many competitors out as possible. But I see more with these types of things where it's charity and nonprofit. There's a less of a competitive edge.
Yeah.
And it's more there's more willingness to share in that, and just they want to make sure they just have the right paperwork. And in the long run, for this other party, it benefits them because they get more use of their trademark in in different areas. because your use would actually be to their benefit since they own it.
Right.
Yeah,
So
And is there?
I
Um,
suggested the royalty-free license yesterday, and the risk is they have to have some kind of quality control term in there, but that could be very easy to meet. There's going to have to be at least some kind of language that they can ensure that you're providing sufficient quality of services under the mark.
Well, I believe that we are.
Yeah, I mean, it could be as simple as something like, we'll continue to maintain the current level of quality.
Well, I mean, first of all, we're not going to be, as I say, it's only for raising money in the States anyway. So we're not going to be having a quality of service inside America because we're not providing one.
Right.
Number one, so we're not going to be affecting them in that way.
Right.
Number two, we do not work with children in our organisation, full stop. Under the age of 18, we don't work with kids. And we're a mental health provider. That's Tikva, that particular program. It's the only one, there's Tikva line and Tikva, which is Tikva line is our support line, and Tikva is our mental health, our mental health service. And again, we don't work with children in any of our services within our organisation.
How are they different? The support, is that just more helping with anything?
So the support line is 24/7, and it's an emotional support line. So basically the people that work on there they're all qualified, but it's offering an empathic, safe space for people who are feeling anxious, nervous, they've got a problem, they just need to talk to somebody because they're lonely, or they've just found some bad news out and they need to share it with someone. So it's a holding space. It's a space where, it's completely confidential with with the usual connotations. And it's not therapy. We're not sitting there and giving them a therapeutic environment. Whereas the Tikva program is offering one-to-one therapy, which is, it's very different. Yeah. And what the support line is Tikva line, and the mental health program is called Tikva. So if we're raising money for both programs, people are going to know. I think they said, well, we'll just call it American Friends of Kipulim. And then they said, well, nobody can argue using the word Tikva because it's a normal word. I said, well, from what I'm understanding, we can't do that legally because somebody has patented the name. And therefore they could possibly sue us for using their trademark. And they said they've never heard of such rubbish. I says, well, I'm sorry, but this is what experts are telling me. I says, I would never have dreamt this in my million years. But this is what I'm being told by the experts. So hence the reason I've recorded this, so that they can listen to it and then understand the problems that we could face. Is there a cost included in this? How much would it cost to check out if they would give us permission, and if we have to have a license from them, what kind of costs are we talking about there?
It could be royalty free.
Oh, okay.
That's what we would hope.
Okay, that would be amazing.
And because this is all, charitable, nonprofit. I mean, the right thing to do, I think, would be for them to, if they're going to consent to your use, then they should, definitely, have a written license so that everything is proper legally, and they get the benefit of that. But to charge you a royalty is really, it's just sort of against the whole purpose of everything. I mean, you're trying to raise money to operate.
Yes, exactly.
And they're doing the same probably. Although you said, Ken, that they're very well funded.
Yeah, something I saw indicated they get something like 38 million revenue a
I
year.
believe that there are no other organizations in the whole of the 52 states of America that don't use the word Tikva as a name.
Yeah, there was the only other Tikva I saw for trademark registrations was for someone else for vitamins and
Yeah, but those
things
people
like that.
are not trademarking their name, and they're setting up little charitable organizations, you know, to raise money for their charitable organizations. It's a very, very common name. So I can't believe that there's only 2 organizations in the whole of America that are allowed to use that name and no one else can. Or maybe
I think there were 2 that registered it. Yeah, there may be others using it, but I was surprised as well. And I thought, you know, one of the outs I thought was going to be that, well, probably, you know, dozens of other people are using it. So there's no problem because everyone distinguishes among them. But those are the only 2 I saw among the registrations.
The one thing you could do, but it would be expensive, is to get a comprehensive search and see if there are a lot of uses that are not registered. And if that was the case, that would bolster your argument as to why you too would be entitled to be part of the big group of entities that use that term in their names for Israel connected, related, you know, charity services of some sort. But as far as if you know, if you're just looking at the trademark database on the USPTO website, which is what we get to do for free, and you just see, well, here
Yeah, and I saw there is one
a
with
bunch of
Tikva.
dead ones.
You're right. I see there's a Tikva with ending with an H, Tikva Hospice, medical and counseling services for terminally ill patients. But that's the only one for TIKVA or TIKVAH.
Well, I've just typed in Tikva charities in the USA list, and there's loads popping up. Tikva charities list of names.
Yeah, I also see there's this TikvaFund.org.
Yes, Tikva Fund, Tikva Children's Home. Tikva Charity First is Am Yisrael Foundation, which is also using the name Tikva.
So there's yeah. You saw the hospice one, right?
Yeah, that's the one
Yes.
ending with an H. And then it just just by Googling, I find there's a nonprofit called Tikva with an H.
Yeah, we could.
Which looks like a big outfit, TikvaFund.org.
Yeah, I've got the Tikva Fund come up on my phone as well. But there aren't many. I'm Googling it, and there aren't that many, to be honest. You're right.
Right.
Obviously.
Isn't that surprising?
Yeah.
It is surprising.
I mean, there's like Tikva Fund and Tikva Home coming up. Nothing much. So Tikva, there's an organization called Tikva.org. Then there's Tikva Children's Home, which we've discussed. Then there's
Tikva Children's Home, I think, must be related to that Tikva, New Jersey, because it's also in Odessa.
Oh, that's the government UK one. That's no use to us.
Right.
No, I don't think you're wrong. There aren't many, and maybe that's because this Tikva has actually got its trademark. That's also a UK-based one. It's interesting. You know what?
I'm gonna get rid of the dead ones.
Next session is going to be Googling all night to see how many companies I can find. But I'm not going to do that. I haven't got the patience or the time to do it tonight.
Yeah.
No, that's not my next obsession, I promise you.
Okay. Well, concerned about this unregistered use of Tikva by this Tikva fund.
Well, that doesn't concern us, does it? Because it's not us they would.
Oh, they have some big names. Yeah, this is a pretty major fund because
Right.
they have Elliot Abrams in there, who was one of the top advisors under George W. Bush.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's not
They're
like
not registered, you just said. Is that correct?
small. Yeah, I didn't see any trademark registration for
So
that.
how
There's
they
no
got away with that?
no Circle R on here.
How did they get away with not being in trouble then?
Who knows? There could be a license one way or another,
Right.
or one of them doesn't know about the other, or one of them isn't concerned about the other.
Okay.
So,
You know, the other thing is too, we'd have to look at all the Hope registrations
right.
in this area, not just
Yeah.
Tikva. And there are, when I did this quick search, the same thing that Ken's doing there, and I don't think there's too many that are a problem at all, but there are a lot of different alliterations of that sound like it.
Right. Yeah.
And would those be a problem?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I was talking about there, and I just do a quick search on the US Patent and Trademark Office website. It's not gonna go through and figure out, TEKVUH or things, whatever, yeah. So
Right. So what
Those are probably not going to be considered.
what do you suggest we do, Ken?
we may the safest approach would be to contact. I mean, if you're willing to, if one of them says no to drop it, the safest approach would be to approach both of them and make sure they don't have any objection to it.
But the other one you don't think has a license, so why do we need to approach them if they've no license? Because we're not. I don't understand what legalities would be in place.
I'm not sure if I followed that, but yeah, as I mentioned yesterday, the problem is if you let someone use a mark that's very close to very similar goods or services and don't license that with that quality control requirement, you could end up losing your trademark. So not just you, but that's what they would be thinking about as well. That they have to avoid risking loss of the trademark because they've allowed other people to use it. It no longer serves the purpose of a trademark, which is to distinguish it, let people know that it comes from one place, not a variety of places.
There, okay.
Of course.
I thought I'd put my camera on. Just
there you
after
are.
So basically, Tikva.
I just wanted to make sure there was my office is not available right now, so but this is a good studio wherever I am.
Tikva.
Okay.
The Tikva organization that holds the trademark, they potentially could get in contact with us and say, we don't want you to use it, stop using it,
right,
and tap us on the shoulder, and we'd have to change the name or move away. The other one may not have a license, which if they haven't got a license, maybe the first one has given them permission to use the name, and because
right.
charity, they've not come up with any other issues. Would they allow a third one to use the name? Is the second one to use the name? That might be pushing it. I don't know. Or the second charity, which is even bigger than the first charity, haven't got a license at all, or they may have a license in another state. But if they have a license in another state, that covers them for the whole of America the same way as the one in New Jersey. Correct?
Well, this one, I'm sure they're nationwide.
They probably are, and they're on the internet. That's the reach is worldwide, actually.
And it says they're projecting $14.6 million of donation revenue this year, last year, fiscal 2023. So it's not, again, it's not some small organization. More than 3,000 unique donors.
Sometimes a licensee could request to have a license for a certain area. That is true. Like they, depending on what the goods or services are and what the business model is. But I think in this instance, it's not something that really can be limited geographically.
No.
Like in any event,
wherever
may say stay out of New Jersey or something. I don't know, but I don't
and
think even
New York.
that makes
Oh no, we don't.
In New York, which is New Jersey and New York, are probably most of the Jews in the country.
Yeah, exactly. We don't want to
yes
from the areas where the main money would be. And if it ever got to the stage where people wanted to support us but wanted us to go over to speak, I don't want to hit any problems, and if we have to do something it just feels such a shame that we couldn't even incorporate just the word Tikva in another way to make sure that people can see. It just seems a shame. But so what you're suggesting, that we simply write, we as an organization write to them and ask if we can use their trademark, or do we need to get a solicitor's letter? What's the professional thing to do?
So my view is, and Ken, you may disagree with this, I think it's better initially to keep the lawyers out of it.
Okay.
Even if we told you what to write and you just put it on your own letterhead,
that would be fine.
But it's just less it's less aggressive, I guess.
No, I agree with you. I don't know what the
and you don't want to I mean, already by asking, you may well be precipitating something that may not otherwise have come about if you didn't ask, but you don't know that. And the likelihood is that it would become a problem if you just went ahead and used it.
Especially the amount of money they have, they're obviously very protective. So
right, and that you know about it ahead of time and went ahead anyway. And so so that's how I like to approach it. And I do a lot of ghostwriting for clients. When I do a lot of the other side of it, going after people who infringe. And I'll write, or by now we have templates almost, but the letter will come from our client saying, hey, we saw that you're out there. This is upsetting to us because it's, we're losing profit and our customers are confused and blah, 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 blah. It's that kind of thing. So it's, it does often get a better response, just a more sympathetic one. And likewise, in this sort of reverse situation, it, you're coming to them to, do you're doing really good things, and it's almost complimentary in a way. And if you did take a license, your use would inure to their benefit. They essentially would be getting greater use of their own mark through the license they have with you.
Right.
And Ken was right. Definitely, there would have to be a provision about quality control, because that's the only thing that makes it valid, really. But you can have very gentle quality control provisions, especially when it's a very friendly situation.
Yeah, I mean, we're literally putting a platform up. So in Israel, there's going to be a platform put up, but it's got ambassadors all over the world. And what will happen is those ambassadors will raise money on our behalf, which will come into our account in Israel. But Cause Match is the organisation that's doing it for us, and they work in America and they work in Israel. And they're used to doing this all the time. I mean, this is their job. And they didn't think there would be they never even thought that could possibly be a problem with the name Tikva. It wasn't until Sam mentioned that maybe there was a problem that, you know, we were alerted about it. So what I think I'm going to do is, I think that I can't make that decision. That's my CEO's decision to make and Course Match on what they feel they want to do. I'll send them this video, and then they can see what the risks are. And if you suggest that we can get a standard letter that we can write on our headed note paper, and send it to them, or an email address where we can send it to an email address, then that's easy to do. That's like a doddle to do.
Yeah, and now that we see that there's a Tikva with an H, I mean, the approach can be, recognizing, pointing out that, you already coexist. It doesn't seem, and so we assume that there's no objection to one more, and pursue it that way. But to let them know that there is some weakness in their defense of their mark, because there's another Tikva out there.
Yeah, I mean, my suggestion originally would have been, okay, so we'll change the spelling, we'll add the H on the end, but evidently that's still the same word. It's just a play on letters.
Because when people say you can't tell the difference, so if someone refers to it orally, you're not going to know whether there's an H on the end or not. So they sound identical.
Yeah. No, I mean, look, we go.
And I have to look back to remember when I'm seeing these things. I don't remember which has an H and which doesn't. I have to keep looking back.
Yeah, I had a charity in England which was called Tikva, but it had a H at the end. So, in England, nobody gave a damn. Nobody ever checked into patents and trademarks or anything. It was nobody ever bothered with it. So how far in advance would we? I would assume that we need to do this quite early on, before we even start with the platform, because obviously we can't put a flat platform up.
Well, I'd do it before you start using the mark in the United.
Yeah,
I'd use it before you start check on it before you start using the mark in the United States, so you don't have to back.
I'm going to send this video to Suzanne and to the army. I'll let them let them watch it, and then
compelling television.
And then they between them can decide what they feel we should do. And if it's deemed that by them that we should be going ahead and writing to them, then that's something that's easily done on headed note paper. It's not a problem. We've got our charity status and everything. It's not an issue in Israel. So we can easily do that. And by email would be better, because the post out of Israel is like, forget it. They'll get it next Christmas at this rate, the way we work.
You're right. Sure.
So that will be amazing.
Ken, what do you think about should they write to both organizations? And
maybe one at a time, because if one, I'd go to the small one first, and then if they don't have an objection, then go to the other way. I alert both right away, unless we're just too pressed for time.
We've got
it's a little conundrum in a way. Like, what's the best way to approach it?
The one that looks small, it seems to be bigger than the one that looks big. The first one we found with the registration looks like they had 38 million a year. This one's a little less.
So which one is closer in in the services?
Don't think
Are they but all?
Oh, the Tikva Charitable Fund, the one with the H, the unregistered use. Looks like they have a wide variety of different things. You know, this one with Ukraine, you can see it as a natural zone of expansion, I think, and I can see them saying that, you know, we're helping in Ukraine, Israel now. There's an attack on Ukraine. Now there's an attack on Israel, so we'll go on to there. So, yeah, I can see that as being very close. The Tikva Fund, let's see, they have, it seems to be educate. Let's see, Jewish classical education, community. I have to look some more, read about everything they're doing here. Through the mission, educate the rising generation of Jewish Zionists and American leaders to advance the most serious thinking. Okay, this one is, I think, less likely because it looks like it's more to educate policymakers, maybe.
Oh, well, that's not anything.
Mhm.
Yeah.
No. Okay.
Okay. And that, you know, what would be good about that is that's a relatively, you know, a small closed-in group as opposed to general population kinds of
Okay.
things.
So I think what I'm going to do, I'll copy this recording. I will send it off
Okay.
straight away in the morning, well, however long it
Okay.
takes to download, and then I will let them look at it, and then if they concur that we should go ahead with it, I will get back in contact with you, Ken, and we can get a template.
Okay.
Send that template off to wherever you feel I need to, and we'll get the ball rolling with it. Thank you.
That sounds good. Sounds like a
Yeah,
good plan.
and
Thanks.
I mean, can you just tell me what I can, do to help, and if I can do it,
Sure.
I will.
Thank
Okay,
Um,
great. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. That's very
If
generous.
does that work out well that way to go, like, Susan will, talk with you first, and then you'll pull me in as needed kind of
Needed.
thing, or?
Thank you. That's
Right.
very nice. Thank you
That's
so
fine
much,
with me.
Kathy. That's really
Okay.
Okay, great.
Thank you very
Thanks a lot.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you
Good.
both. It's very
Thanks to
nice
both of you.
to meet you and to see you
nice
again.
your day.
Okay.
Okay,
Good to see you again.
Okay.
Kathy.
Okay,
Okay, we'll talk soon.
Bye.
bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.